This week, we're finishing the month of September with a flourish of planets and signs in Libra air. And Libra is always all about relationships, in particular, finding the balance between your needs and their needs. But also, Libra is the sign of the peacemaker. I'm sure you've noticed the symbol for Libra, the goddess who is blindfolded and holding the scales of justice, trying to weigh the fairness of both sides of a conflict or a legal debate. And we are now also in a new lunar cycle ruled by Libra that began with the Libra new moon on September 28th. And it's going to take us through to October 26th. And during this time, I think we have a great opportunity to take a quantum leap out of Libra's efforts to be a diplomat and to make peace on the earth, and think about in our own lives the ways in which we can take a quantum leap in consciousness and withdraw our belief in separation and join with loving Venus, the ruler of Libra, to look beyond the struggles and conflicts you have in your closest relationships and see instead the light that radiates from all of us, sometimes little sparks and sometimes great rays. I'm Judith Royal. I'm an archetypal astrologer, and this is your astrological weather forecast for the week of September 30th through October the 6th, 2019. And you know, I have my own sign in Libra, so I had my birthday last week. Thank you, all of you who sent such warm and loving greetings. And so I think I want to be a spokesman for love, meaning in this quantum leap fashion, that we don't see the separation because we know that love is inclusive. We often have this idea that the ego has sponsored, that we should look for a partner that has such and such characteristics, a partner that does this but doesn't do that. And I know there are even lists and books written about that. However, it's a way to rule people out, is it not? And because love is purely inclusive, just like light extending itself in a dark room, I'm setting an intention to rule you in, to rule people, new people that I meet, to rule you in and find that beautiful golden common thread that unites all of us in our global village. I know this sounds like a big challenge to be seeing peace and love when some of the conflicts in our world on that world archetypal stage looked to really grab our attention and seem so serious. But when I look through the eyes of love, I start gathering witnesses that support my belief, right? And so I saw in one of my favorite magazines is The Sun magazine. And so this month, there was a lot in it about climate change. And of course, we're having that big debate on the world stage. So there was a beautiful quote by Bill Nye, and it says, "If your house is on fire, you don't comfort yourself with the thought that houses have been catching fire for thousands of years. Why should I worry?" You don't sit back idly and think, "Oh, well, that is the way of Mother Nature." You get going immediately, and you don't spring into action because of an idealistic notion that all houses deserve to be saved. You do it because if you don't, you won't have a place to live. The simple truth cuts right through the idiocy of the ego's debates. And I think that's also why young people, like the 16-year-old girl in the UN, are coming forth in their innocence, which is different from being naive, and speaking up for our planet, for themselves, for their own future. So you've heard me talk about pretty much a lot that we are now completing and also at the same time beginning. We're finishing a 500-year cycle and beginning a new one. The exact culmination of this will come January 12th, 2020. So it's no surprise that we're watching the crumbling of hierarchical structures, patriarchal structures, that really they were not standing on a firm ground of truth. In fact, they were built a lot by lies and deceit. This major shift, courtesy of Sheriff Saturn and powerful Pluto, is about the right use of power. And so it is really the way of the world, I think, that, for example, on the way to finding love's true meaning, we first run into everything that love is not. And so on our way to the right use of power, the mythological lord of the underworld, that's Pluto's realm, is showing us some of these cold coffins of deceit that have been buried in the unconscious mind. These are like destructive beliefs that have been undermining us, our civilization, our individual selves. And when times were easier, or we perceived they were easier, we could leave them buried. There was no real need to go into this kind of challenging internal and external alchemy. But we can't make this transition without that kind of deep dive, that kind of deep transformation, so that we can raise to awareness what we otherwise would refuse to see. And our benevolent universe has set the stage such that expansive Jupiter, who has been in the truth teller sign of Sagittarius since last November, is doing one fabulous job of being a whistleblower. I think everyone would agree with that. And Sheriff Saturn, also in Capricorn as Pluto is, they're the two guys who are going to do the meetup. And so Sheriff Saturn has been laying the groundwork for integrity, for more integrity, and for bringing fairness and integrity into the structures that we have already built in our society. And those would have to, of course, be the structures where there is an open door and open minds. You've noticed, I'm sure, that a lot of the shenanigans that have been backstage or buried are now cut loose and showing up by the truckloads on our world stage. Because this week, Pluto has been retrograde and turns direct October the 2nd, meaning now both Saturn and Pluto are in forward drive. So the shift is on, full speed ahead. Haven't you felt yourself springing into action much more in the past week? You can get ready to be amused by the absurdity of the dances in deceit that we see these archetypes on the world stage. And let me tell you, starting this week, on Thursday, October 3rd, boy, is there going to be some revelation of secrets of behind the scenes that are really from the bottom of the barrel. Mercury usually spends about 3 weeks in one zodiac sign, but he's going into Scorpio for 9 full weeks, meaning that on October 31st, Halloween, again, no joke, Mercury turns retrograde in Scorpio, and rather than backing up into the previous sign as he usually does when he's retrograde, he stays in Scorpio for the whole way, going direct on November the 20th, and then retracing the steps back and staying in Scorpio until December the 8th. So consider yourself warned if you have been holding on to a secret as if people who love you, close to you, don't really know it. Give it up, because transparency is going to be the way of life, not just a lovely thing to strive for, but rather the open door, the openness in communication that will save us. And if you're unsure about where in yourself, in your relationships, you're still holding back who you truly are, in other words, holding back your truth, then this Saturday, October 5th, we will be having the first quarter moon in this lunar cycle that we're in now of Libra. And the first quarter moon is a crisis point in which we have something show up in our lives that reminds us where we are, growing weeds in our garden and have a bit of excess that needs pruning. And sometimes the synchronicities, the amazing coincidences in astrology are, just almost unbelievable. But this first pruning point, this crisis point on Saturday, will be in the sign of Capricorn. So in other words, the moon will activate Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, the guys who are heading for that big meetup. And you will get to see the truth about your relationships. And likewise, you will get to see the hidden resentments, the old grudges that you probably didn't even know you were carrying. And you get to see it so that you can release it through forgiveness. In the Jewish faith, these are the high holy days of atonement, in which you review the past year and doing it honestly to acknowledge and therefore let go anything that is weighing down your spirit and your love connection with all others. This week started with the moon in Scorpio, Monday and Tuesday. So there's also a lot of depth and intensity of feeling that starts this week. And then on Wednesday, the day that Pluto turns direct, the moon goes into fiery Sagittarius and will be there until late morning on Friday. And remember, fiery Sagittarius is the truth teller and whistleblower. So the moon is going to join up with Jupiter on Thursday to make for, how shall I say it, a stroke of luck. But actually it will be the moon, and so it will be on the emotional, intuitive level. and you'll just get a lucky hunch. Please follow it. Also on Thursday, Warrior Mars is going to leave Virgo and move into Libra. And there he is, the spiritual warrior for peace. Lots of action on Thursday, but all really beneficial. And then on Friday, when the moon goes into Capricorn, it'll be about 10:45 in the morning on Pacific Daylight Time. So remember, the moon in Capricorn will now trigger all those other Capricorn planets. So we get that menu of choices served up to us in anything regarding our own internal fairness, integrity, etc. Are you living your life from your authentic true self? That's the question of the hour, so to speak. And so Saturday, that crisis point, first quarter moon, also has the Capricorn moon running into Sheriff Saturn. That'll be later in the afternoon. So that is a big dose of seriousness, not to be taken as a wet blanket, or don't let yourself get discouraged, because also you want to hang on to your dream. Not a dream of escaping reality, but a dream in which you see through and past the veil of illusion. In other words, all of the propaganda and lies that we've been sold, and offer a helping hand to the person next to you. Sunday this week, October 6th, the moon is still in Capricorn until late evening when it goes into Aquarius. But still in Capricorn, the moon now runs into Pluto, powerful Pluto. You see how we're now getting this cluster event. And so Sunday is a day of great intensity of feeling also, and a day of alchemy. Because if we can let our uncomfortable, let's just call them the lies we've told ourselves, if we can let them sort of hang in our consciousness, not try to bury them or repress them, and let them cook, sort of boil in that cauldron, then we get the alchemical goal. It will transform, and we will be free of it. And I don't think any of us will miss it, that is, miss seeing what we need to see, because also, it's very late on Sunday, so running also into Monday the 7th, the Mercury, who is now in that long 9-week journey in Scorpio, is going to be opposition to the god of lightning. And so that is a surprise out of the blue, some thought, or it could be a communication from another person that is designed to free you. So embrace it. In fact, embrace all of this. Not because resistance is futile, but resistance is just such a waste of time and energy. It is true that you can delay your awakening, or rather, you are awake, you just forgot that you are, and you can delay the memory of that, but you cannot change its inevitability. So will you join me in being an unbeliever and withdraw your belief in separation and bring home the truth that what happens to one of us affects all of us? Thank you for listening. I love you all. Spread it around, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.